What's up everyone, this is Araya, and today we're going to be talking about Guardian Soul. This is an endgame ability that you can fix onto weapons and units that we currently do not have the ability to create, but very soon we will be able to. Although we're not able to create Guardian Soul right now, it's better to start working on it now rather than later when it is available, especially since the price of making this ability will most likely go up at that time. This video isn't going to go over any specific recipes, but rather introduce you to what Guardian Soul is and the kind of process that you should expect to go through if you plan on making it. I do plan on making a recipe video after this one though, so if you're interested in seeing that one when it comes out, you can subscribe to my channel in order to get it recommended to you when it's finished. If you do subscribe, I really appreciate it because it really helps me with growing this channel. Moving on though, let's get into the real video. So first things first, what is Guardian Soul? Right now I'm in a Fix Assistant. I use this in a lot of my videos. If you don't know how to use a Fix Assistant, there are tutorials out there showing you how to do so. I have one on my channel as well, so you can check that out if you'd like. But the first thing that we're going to do in a Fix Assistant is we're just going to search for Guardian Soul. Right now you'll see that it's grayed out. That means we can't currently make this. However, we're still able to use this in a Fix Assistant if we want to plan ahead. So right here you'll see that this gives us 70 all, 70 HP, and 7 PP. This is an absurdly powerful ability. Now in order to make Guardian Soul though, let's click a fix and we're going to have two options here. We're going to ignore the Soul Receptor one for now, and we're going to look at the one below it. We have a 10% chance of creating Guardian Soul if we have Astral Soul, Aether Factor, Mana Reverie, and Absolute Glare. I'm going to click on this and click Confirm. Okay, so far this doesn't seem like that hard of an ability to create. However, if you know what these abilities are, you'll know that there is a process to making each one of these abilities as well, which is why this ability can be complicated to create. I'm going to click Confirm. And now this is saying that as long as we have Absolute Glare, Mana Reverie, Aether Factor, and Astral Soul, we can create Guardian Soul at a 10% chance. This 10% is going to be the first big issue you're going to have with Guardian Soul, because no matter what we do, we can't get this 10% to 100. Now if we were to use a 40% boost and did this during a 15% boost week, this would boost us up to 65%, but that's still a 35% chance that all of our work goes to waste. Now going back to the fodder over here, let's talk about Absolute Glare, Mana Reverie, Aether Factor, and Astral Soul. In order to create these abilities, you're going to have to do something similar, where for Astral Soul, you're going to need 4 Soul Catalysts as well as a Soul of Darkness. In order to make a Soul Catalyst, you need an Apprentice Soul, an Elder Soul, Luther Soul, Gemini Soul, and a Persona Soul. And this is only a 10% chance as well. Luckily though, we are able to get Astral Soul to 100%. However, when you're working on creating Astral Soul, the catalysts will not be at 100%, so there is a chance that you will be failing a few of these. And seeing as you're going to have to make 4 of these, this could be a bit annoying to work on. Now, moving on from Astral Soul though, we also have Aether Factor, Mana Reverie, and Absolute Glare. The process for making these abilities is pretty much the same as Astral Soul, except you're going to have to create them using different abilities. For instance, Aether Factor is going to require Factor Catalysts and Aether Soul. Mana Reverie is going to require Reverie Catalysts and Omega Memoria. And Absolute Glare is going to require Glare Catalysts and Photoner's Glare. If we click Confirm on Absolute Glare, we'll see that Photoner Glare has a star next to it. This is because we can't make this yet. In order to make this, we need Shiva Glare and Origin Glare, which are not currently in the game. Once these glares are available, this will finally unlock our ability to fully create Guardian Soul. Because of this, the only fodder that you're not going to be able to prepare now is going to be whichever fodder that you have Photon or Glare on. So if you're interested in working on this now, you can still work on everything else. So let's go back over here and let's talk about this 65% chance, because this is going to take a ton of work to work on this Guardian Soul, and it's going to really suck if you spend all this time in Meseta preparing all of this fodder just to fail. However, there is a way around this, and this is going to be by using Augment Insurance. Augment Insurance is an item that you can add during the affixing process that makes it so that if you fail one of the abilities, you don't lose any of the fodder that you tried to use to make it. This basically means that you can try again and hopefully not fail the next time. If you don't know how to get Augment Insurance, one way you can get them is by going to the swap shop, scrolling down, and right here you'll see we have Augment Insurance max 4 slots. So this will only work when we're affixing 4 abilities onto a weapon or unit. In order to get this, you need 10 AC scratch ticket items. If I click on this, you'll see that I can trade in some of my outerwears for this, but normally this isn't how people do this. Instead, if we go up here, you'll see we have recycle badges. You can get recycle badges by trading in any AC scratch ticket item, basically converting it into a currency. You can then use these badges for the Augment Insurance. So if we had 10 recycle badges, you could just use those instead of using random cosmetics. One important thing to know about recycle badges is you can buy and sell these on the personal shop. Right now you'll see that they are currently about 1 million Meseta. Something that I've been thinking about recently is once we're able to create Guardian Soul, there is a chance that these prices will go up. So it might be a good idea to start buying these now while they're cheaper. However, there is a chance that the prices could go down lower before them. I'm not 100% sure how the prices are going to go. However, recently recycle badges have been pretty stable at 1 million Meseta, and I believe that might be because people are instantly buying the recycle badges that are being sold for less in order to control the market. So that's how you get 4-slot Augment Insurance. However, this is going to create a new problem where if we wanted to make Guardian Soul and not risk losing all of our work, we would have to do this on a 4-slot weapon or unit. Creating a 4-slot recipe isn't going to be nearly as powerful compared to a unit recipe that uses 6 abilities or a weapon recipe that uses 8 abilities. However, there is a way around this that's going to allow us to take advantage of our 4-slot insurance while still being able to make a 6-slot unit. Now, for the most part, what I'm going to be talking about is mostly useful for units, as making Guardian Soul on a weapon isn't nearly as difficult as it is for units. So from now on, just keep that in mind. Now, before I show you how we're going to get around the 4-slot problem I just mentioned, I'm going to show you another problem that you're going to run into that you can also get around using the same method. So we're going to go back to creating our goal, and this time, let's say we wanted to start working on a really powerful recipe. The first thing that you would usually look into is the other really powerful abilities that you have to craft, which are the ones that go into making Guardian Soul itself. So one of those would be Mana Reverie, another one would be Absolute Glare, which we don't currently have yet, and another one would be Astral Soul. However, you cannot affix Astral Soul onto this because Guardian Soul is already taking your soul slot. You can't have more than one soul. We could also add Aether Factor. However, I'm not going to add it to this because I don't want to overcomplicate what I'm trying to show you. So instead, let's just click Affix. So Guardian Soul we're going to make the same way we did before. And then let's say we wanted to make Mana Reverie by using these catalysts and Omega Memoria. As soon as I click that, you'll see that this becomes grayed out. This is because by choosing this, we're saying that we're going to have Reverie catalysts onto a bunch of our units. However, since we already have Reverie catalysts on those units, we can't have Glare catalysts on those units, basically making it impossible to make this recipe. However, if we look above this, you'll see that we can get Mana Reverie onto our unit at 100% chance by using Affix Augment Mana Reverie. This is an item that you can use during the affixing process. So by choosing to use this item, we will also be able to make Absolute Glare. In order to get this item, you can go to the swap shop, go down to Mission Badge Swap Shop, and you'll see we have Augment Astral Soul, Augment Aether Factor, and Augment Mana Reverie. Each one of these costs 120 mission badges. So since this is going to be the only way of making some of the endgame recipes, you need to make sure that you have enough mission badges in order to do this. Now I said that this was going to lead into how we get around the 4-slot problem, so let's talk about that now. Now going back to our goal, let's say we also wanted to make Aether Factor, and since this is going to be a unit, let's say we wanted this to be a really powerful 6-slot unit. Well, first we would have to have a S Augment. Let's say we just have S7 Junk. Now I could use something like Grand Might here, however I'm not going to do this because I want to use an ability that doesn't use an item, just to give you a better example. For this one, we're going to choose Veteran's Resolve 5. Now, if you don't know what this ability is, it gives you plus 30 all, plus 30 HP, and plus 5 PP. Now, in order to create Veterans Resolve, you're going to need to combine a bunch of Veteran Resolve 3s in order to create Veterans Resolve 4, and then you're going to need to combine a bunch of Veterans Resolve 4 in order to create Veterans Resolve 5. Veterans Resolve 3 is currently dropping on units in the most recent Extreme quests, Elite Training Risk Realm and Extreme Training Risk Realm. Now, if we wanted to make this though, we're going to have a problem because we're not going to be able to use the 4-slot Augment Insurance. However, there is a workaround for this, and that's to transfer the abilities. If we click Transfer, you'll first notice that our Material Fodder is only 5 slots and our main fodder is 6 slots. So this means that if we wanted, we could create all of this on a 5-slot unit instead and then transfer it over to a 6-slot unit. Now, what's really useful about the Augment Transfer System is that you can use the Add Augment items that I showed off a minute ago when you go to do the Augment Transfer. For example, we could use the Add Mana Reverie item when we go to transfer these abilities over to our 6-slot unit. Once I do that, you'll see that this unit now has junk down here. I can remove this junk by just clicking the minus button here. Now, if we wanted to make this recipe, we can create this fodder on a 4-slot unit while using the 4-slot insurance, and then once we're finished making this unit, we can just transfer it over to our 6-slot unit and use the Affix Augment Mana Reverie. You can use this method to upslot weapons and units while adding really powerful abilities in the process. Now, if we hit confirm, you'll see right here that this will cost us 25 Augment Transfer Passes. So if you wanted to do this with 3 units, this would cost you a total of 75 passes. So most of our work is going to be in making this fodder right here. If you click Affix, you'll see that we'll make Guardian Soul like we did before, and we won't be able to make Aether Factor, but we could use another one of those items. We also have the option of using Factor Receptor down here. So if you don't want to waste all your mission badges, you have this option. In order to get Factor Receptor, you can go to the Badge Exchange, go to Unique Weapon Badges, and the second option right here is a 4-slot unit that has Factor Receptor and Soul Receptor. However, if you are going to try and use Factor Receptor, you should remember that Factor Receptor can't be affixed, so this means that when you use this unit in a recipe, you won't be able to put anything else on it with the Factor Receptor. This means that one of your fodder is only going to be Factor Receptor, which is going to require you to squeeze more of your abilities onto other fodder. Most people probably are not going to use this method, however it is available to you if you want to try. For our example though, we are just going to use the Add Aether Factor item. Now what we're looking at right here is very similar to what many recipes using Guardian Soul are going to need to do. If you remember when we looked at the mission badge shop, Absolute Glare was not an option for those items. This means that in order to get Absolute Glare and Guardian Soul onto our weapons or units, you have to create both Guardian Soul and Absolute Glare at the same time. So in order to create one of those units, you're going to need 4 Glare Catalysts, as well as the Photoner Glare in order to create your Absolute Glare, and then you're going to also need Astral Soul, Mana Reverie, Aether Factor, and another Absolute Glare already created. So generally, when you're creating a recipe that uses both Absolute Glare and Guardian Soul, each fodder is going to have both a Glare Catalyst as well as one of the abilities required for Guardian Soul. So for this one, we have Glare Catalyst and Absolute Glare. For this one, we're going to have Glare Catalyst and Mana Reverie. This one, we're going to have Glare Catalyst and Aether Factor. And this one, we're going to have Glare Catalyst and Astral Soul. Now, one thing that's most likely going to be different on most recipes is whether or not you try to affix anything else. In this example, I also wanted to try and make Veterans Resolve 5. So this means I'm going to have to squeeze Veterans Resolve 4 onto a bunch of my fodder. So let's say that we wanted to try and make Veterans Resolve 4 with our Astral Soul and Glare Catalyst. Then we can have Veterans Resolve 4 with this Photoner Glare, and we can have one Veterans Resolve which is by itself. If we click confirm, we can look at our final affix right here for the 4-slot unit, and it currently only has a 7% chance of succeeding. If we were to use a 40% chance, you'll see that we have a 49% total during a 15% boost week. Due to the amount of work that's going to need to go into making these fodders, you're definitely going to be using the Augment Insurance to create this final 4-slot unit right here. Now if we go back over here and let's say we wanted to look at fodder 3, this is going to be one of the more complicated fodders to make because we also need to have Veterans Resolve 4 on it. If we click Fix on this is going to require us to make Glare Catalyst, Astral Soul, and Veterans Resolve 4. Now I moved around the abilities real quick just to make it a little bit more organized, but we're not going to pay too much attention to that as that will be focused on more in the recipe videos coming up. So instead, let's just click Confirm, and what I want to point out right here is we currently have a 10% chance of creating this. If we were to use a 40% boost, it boosts us up to 62%. Since fodder 3 is going to be more of a pain to create than the other fodders, this is one place that you might want to also use the Augment Insurance for. Now, one last thing that I want to go over before ending this video is to talk a little bit more about the transfer process. Right here, you'll see that this costs us 25 Augment Transfer Passes. However, this is only when you're transferring to a 6-slot unit. If you were to try and do this for a 7-slot unit, you'll see that this will cost us 50 transfer passes. And if we were to try and do this with an 8-slot unit, this would cost us 100 transfer passes. This is why a lot of people are probably going to stick with 6-slot units, because most people won't have enough Augment Transfer Passes to create units with really high Augment slots. So the very last thing I want to show you is an example in-game of how you would go about doing the transfer process. So when you go to talk to Doodoo, go down to Transfer Augments, and we're going to move over to my units, and let's pretend that this unit right here was our 4-slot unit that we finally affixed. Now let's also say that this 6-slot unit right here, which has an S augment on it, was our final unit that we wanted to put all of our abilities onto. Most likely this will end up being a crass unit, which we will be getting sometime in the future. We're going to click on this unit pretending it's a crass unit, and click yes. Next we want to choose our 4-slot unit. When you click on it, it's going to ask you if you want to use an item. In this case we do. We're going to pretend that this item right here is Add Mana Reverie. Click on this, and then it's going to ask us to choose which augments we're transferring. Now these 4 abilities that aren't selected right now are the 4 abilities that were on our other unit. So in our example, this would be Guardian Soul, this would be Aether Factor, this would be Absolute Glare, and this would be Veterans Resolve 5. Then Elegant Casting would be Mana Reverie. So this would allow us to get our 4 abilities from our 4-slot unit, as well as an extra ability using the Augment item, onto a 6-slot unit that already has an S augment on it. After you finish selecting everything, you just click Confirm, and it's going to tell you need 25 Augment Transfer Passes as well as some Meseta. It's also going to show you what the final affix is going to look like right here, and the 4-slot unit that we're transferring from is going to lose all of its abilities in the process. So when you go to do this, you would just click yes, and that would finish your unit. I'm obviously not going to do that because I don't want to waste my Augment Transfer Passes. But at the very least, I did want to show you how you would go about doing this in-game. With that though, that is the end of the video. I will be making a video dedicated to creating a recipe using Guardian Soul fairly soon. However, I felt like that video might be a little long, which is why I decided to separate it from this video. So if you want to see that video when it comes out and you enjoyed what you saw here, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.